The Galactic Council had existed for over 12,000 years. In that time, they had cataloged more than 40,000 intelligent species across the galaxy. They had witnessed empires rise and fall. They had seen wars that burned entire star systems. They had created laws that kept the peace between a million worlds. Nothing surprised them anymore. Until they discovered Earth. Ambassador of the Dominion stood before the council chamber, his four arms trembling as he presented his report. The massive holographic display behind him showed a small blue planet, third from an unremarkable yellow star in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. "Honored council members," began, his voice cracking, "I must present findings that will shake the foundation of everything we believe about warfare and survival." The council chamber fell silent. Over 300 representatives from the galaxy's most powerful civilizations watched with curiosity. Wars were common. Threats were managed. What could possibly concern the ambassador so deeply? "We have discovered a species on this world," continued. "They call themselves humans. They have only recently developed faster-than-light travel. By galactic standards, they are primitive. Their technology is perhaps 500 years behind our most basic member worlds." Murmurs of confusion spread through the chamber. Why would the council waste time discussing a primitive species? "However," raised his voice, "after extensive analysis of their history, culture, and military capabilities, the Intelligence Division has reached a unanimous conclusion." He paused, letting the weight of his next words settle. "Earth's military has been classified as a galactic-level extinction threat." The chamber exploded into chaos. Representatives shouted in disbelief. Some laughed openly. A galactic-level extinction threat was the highest classification possible. Only 3 entities in recorded history had ever received this designation: the void swarm that consumed the Andromeda sector, the stellar plague that wiped out the First Empire, and the architects who had disappeared mysteriously 10,000 years ago. "Silence!" The Grand Arbiter's voice thundered through the chamber. The ancient being, older than most civilizations, leaned forward with genuine interest. "Ambassador, explain yourself. How can a species that cannot even properly terraform their own moon be considered an extinction threat?" Took a deep breath. "Grand Arbiter, with your permission, I will show the council what we discovered." The holographic display changed. It showed a timeline of human history, starting from their earliest recorded wars. "Humans have been waging war against each other for their entire existence," explained. "This alone is not unusual. Many species fight among themselves before achieving unity. What is unusual is how they fight." Images appeared on the screen. Ancient battles with swords and spears, medieval sieges, the trenches of their world wars, the mushroom clouds of nuclear weapons. In just 10,000 years, humans went from throwing rocks at each other to splitting atoms and creating weapons capable of destroying their entire planet. They did this without any outside help. They did this while fighting each other constantly. They evolved their military technology faster than any species we have ever recorded. The council watched in growing unease as the display showed human military innovations. Tanks, aircraft, submarines, missiles, satellites, drones, cyber weapons, biological agents. "But that is not what concerns us most," said quietly. "What concerns us is their mindset." The display changed again, showing various human military doctrines and strategies throughout history. Most species in the galaxy fight wars with clear objectives: territory, resources, ideological dominance. When the objective is achieved or becomes impossible, the war ends. This is logical. This is efficient. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Humans do not think this way. They have a concept they call total war. When pushed far enough, humans will not stop fighting until their enemy is completely destroyed. Not defeated, destroyed. They will sacrifice their own cities, their own people, their own future, just to ensure their enemy cannot survive." The chamber had grown very quiet. During their second global conflict, humans developed weapons of mass destruction. Within years of this development, they had created enough nuclear weapons to destroy their planet multiple times over. Not once, multiple times. They pointed these weapons at each other for decades, each side knowing that using them would mean the end of everything. And they did not destroy themselves, asked the representative, genuinely puzzled. No, replied. They called it mutually assured destruction. They believed that the certainty of complete annihilation would prevent war. They lived with this threat hanging over them for generations. They raised their children knowing that at any moment everything could end. And they adapted. They accepted it. They continued living normal lives while the possibility of extinction lingered every single day. The Grand Arbiter spoke slowly. They weaponized the fear of extinction itself. Yes, confirmed. But there is more. When we studied their military philosophy, we found concepts that do not exist in any other galactic civilization. The display showed various military quotes and doctrines. Humans believe in something called acceptable losses. They will send their own soldiers to certain death if it serves a larger strategic purpose. They have units specifically trained for missions where survival is not expected. Their soldiers volunteer for these missions. Madness, whispered the Etherian delegate. No rational being would accept death willingly. To humans, this is not madness. This is honor. This is duty. They have countless stories celebrating those who died fighting impossible odds. They teach their children to admire those who chose death over surrender. Change the display again, showing human special forces operations, resistance movements, and guerrilla campaigns. When conquered, most species submit or flee. Humans do neither. They have a long history of resistance movements. Even when completely occupied by superior forces, they continue fighting from shadows. They use improvised weapons, sabotage, assassination, and terrorism. They make occupation so costly that many invaders have simply given up. They resist even when resistance is illogical, ask the collective mind of. Especially when resistance is illogical, answered. They see it as a moral imperative. They would rather die fighting than live in submission, and they pass this belief to their children, who continue the fight even if it takes generations. The ambassador pulled up new data. We ran simulations. We tested how humans would respond to a standard galactic conquest scenario. A superior fleet arrives, demands surrender, and threatens destruction. Do you know what our simulations predicted? No one answered. In 93% of simulations, humans refused to surrender, even when faced with certain defeat, even when surrender meant survival. They chose to fight. And the remaining 7%, the Grand Arbiter asked. Those simulations showed humans surrendering initially, then launching resistance movements that eventually drove out the occupiers or made occupation economically impossible. The average time for a successful resistance, 47 years. The longest simulation ran for 300 years before the occupying force's voice became heavier. We then ran simulations involving the destruction of Earth. We wanted to know if eliminating there would break human resistance on colony worlds. He paused, looking genuinely disturbed. It made them worse. The destruction of Earth united every human everywhere. They stopped all internal conflicts immediately. They redirected every resource toward revenge. They developed new weapons at unprecedented speeds. They showed absolutely no interest in negotiation or peace. Their single goal became the complete extinction of whoever destroyed their world. They would seek extinction in return for extinction, the representative asked in horror. Not seek, corrected. Guarantee. Our simulations showed that humans would accept any cost, make any sacrifice, to ensure their enemy could never threaten anyone again. They would burn their own colonies, use their own populations as weapons, develop technologies specifically designed for genocide. and they would not stop until it was done. The chamber sat in stunned silence. "But they are technologically inferior," someone finally said. "Surely we could simply destroy them before they became a threat." Shook his head slowly. "We considered this. We ran those simulations as well. The problem is their adaptability. Humans learn from every engagement. They steal technology, reverse engineer it, and improve upon it within years. They have a concept called 'if it bleeds, we can kill it.' They genuinely believe that any enemy, no matter how powerful, can be defeated if they study it long enough." He showed data on human technological advancement during wartime. During their second global conflict, they went from propeller aircraft to jet engines in 6 years, from conventional bombs to nuclear weapons in 4 years, from basic rockets to intercontinental missiles in 12 years. When humans are threatened, their innovation accelerates beyond anything we have modeled for other species. "Then what do you recommend?" the Grand Arbiter asked quietly. "Extermination before they advance further." Shook his head firmly. "That is exactly what we must not do. Any aggressive action against humans would trigger exactly the response we fear. They would unite, adapt, and eventually become capable of threatening us all. Even if we destroyed 99% of them, the survivors would dedicate their existence to revenge." "Then what?" "We recommend a policy of careful engagement, trade, cultural exchange, slow integration into galactic society. We must make humans see the galaxy as their community, not their enemy. We must give them a reason to protect the galactic order rather than destroy it." The Grand Arbiter considered this carefully. "You are saying we must befriend them because we cannot defeat them." "I am saying that in 12,000 years we have never encountered a species like this. Humans are not the strongest. They are not the most advanced, but they are the most dangerous because they simply refuse to accept defeat. They would rather destroy everything, including themselves, than submit to an enemy." Looked around the chamber. Every other species we have encountered has a breaking point, a moment where survival instinct overrides aggression. Humans do not have this limitation. Their aggression and their survival instinct are the same thing. They fight to survive, and they survive to fight. The Grand Arbiter was silent for a long moment. "Then let it be recorded. Earth's military is hereby classified as a galactic-level extinction threat. All member worlds are ordered to maintain peaceful relations with humanity. No hostile actions will be taken without unanimous council approval." He looked at the small blue planet still displayed on the hologram. "And may the Ancient Ones help us all if we ever give them a reason to unite against us." The vote was unanimous. For the first time in 8,000 years, the Galactic Council chose peace not from strength, but from fear. On Earth, humanity remained blissfully unaware that their long history of war, suffering, and survival had just saved them from conquest. They continued their daily lives, argued among themselves, fought their small conflicts, and dreamed of reaching the stars. They had no idea that the stars were already watching them, with a mixture of horror and respect. And somewhere in the galaxy, a new saying began to spread among spacefaring species. There are only 2 types of war in the universe: wars without humans and wars that should have stayed that way.